This week in comic books, I have an extremely small haul for you. So I don't want to spoil it right here in the beginning. But first, I have to try to sell you some coffee, especially that Roaster Choice option that they have at Coffee Brand Coffee. If you use my promo code, you might save yourself some money. Check it out. Hey, what's going on, folks? This is your boy Pocan Joe to talk to you about Coffee Brand Coffee. We serve people that are tired of gimmicky advertising and branded companies that want to lecture you. At Coffee Brand Coffee, all we want to do is serve you freshly roasted coffee wherever you're at, whenever you want it. Consider Coffee Brand Coffee. Check us out, check our reviews out, and use promo code POCANJOE or the link down in the description to save yourself some money. Give me the opportunity to get you a delicious cup of coffee. All right, you bunch of weirdos, definitely check out the Roaster's Choice membership there. Anybody that has joined, I have not seen leave yet. It's one of the reasons why I haven't been promoted. I wanted to see how it would go. But it's a membership, fresh coffee coming to your place in the way that you want it. And I believe it to be a fair price. So definitely check that out and use my promo code. Don't pay full price. Heck, if you can find another promo code out there, use that. Just don't pay full price. All right, let's jump into this week's comic books. We're going to start off with Incredible Hulk number 10. I went with this cover because it's cool. It's always cool watching Bruce Banner change into the Hulk, and I thought this does a pretty good job of that. So what are we talking about here? First off, I have to preface it this. I like this story so far. It's covered about 2 issues. It's been interesting. I'll give you that. But I'm kind of like, what does it have to do with the mainline story? We got a little bit of something, about the elder monsters in the last issue, but it was really just a, hey, Hulk, give up already. I'm going to win speech from the elder, right? But let me tell you why I like this story before we get too deep into that. First off, I love the whole vibe of the Nolans kind of lore that it's kind of playing with here. We have a woman ghost monster demon type. It doesn't really define it. It doesn't need to. It has a very unique name, though. I'm going to leave that one up for you to research. It's actually kind of a cool little lore story, but I'm digressing. Let's get back on track. So we have this lady, monster lady. We'll just call her that. And basically what she does is she goes around, kills people, captures their souls, and puts them in porcelain dolls, right? And she's been doing this since about the 1800s, right? And here we get our first appearance of Inspector Ghost. I like this character. The concept of using a Pinkerton detective from back in the day, because there was a lot of those dudes running around back then. So that kind of makes sense. I love the fact that he didn't know that he was dead and that he's still on the case trying to solve the one crime that he couldn't solve because it killed him, right? Love that concept. I love the whole underground gothic cathedral church type of horror that's kind of based in this, right? The connection with religion and horror, and that kind of gray line there. I'm really enjoying that too. But again, in 2 issues now, along with a few other issues, we seem to be really getting caught up on these kind of little side quest things. That whole story could be a whole different thing in itself. I don't find it relative to the mainline story in it, right? What is the connection between the elder monsters, the ones down below, and the immortal Hulk, and that whole storyline? You're kind of diluting that story with these other really, really cool stories. I'm not saying it should all be one track and straight down a line, but within 2 issues here now, you're kind of, I don't know, you're kind of losing me a little bit, and you're overwhelming me, I guess I should say, with these great stories and everything that you're presenting forward. It's kind of coming off as not a very clear thought process. So, yeah, I would like to see that kind of cleaned up a little bit. Again, great stuff. I cannot say that enough, but just one story at a time. I read enough comic books. Like, you're not the only thing I'm reading. So kind of help me out here. Help me help you. All right, moving on. More Marvel here. We get Edge of the Spider-Verse. Of course, I had to get this cover right here because if you're a Scotty Young fan or this whimsical kind of macabre type of artwork, right, this is right up your alley. And here, of course, it's an Edge of the Spider-Verse story, so you need, everyone to have a first appearance. And here you get 2. One, I could care less about, the Cyber Spider. It's the typical thing, right? Spider-Man enhanced with tech, right? And then he has like an AI-generated assistant in his head, talks to him, kind of like that little paperclip thing from back in the day. It used to be on computers. It would pop up randomly, like, "Do you need any help?" That's so annoying. I think that's where the idea comes from, to be honest with you. Probably. But more importantly, the spooky spider story is phenomenal. It is whimsically Tim Burton-ish in the best way possible, right? It's just fun. It's silly. It's a little macabre. It's a little weird. We're taking the concept of symbiote, Venom and all that, and we're making it a ghost, right? It's really the same concept. Bonds with the human. The kid's gets bullied, that kind of thing. The whole Peter Parker thing to begin with kind of infuses with him. And of course, he saves the day in an area that's already scary. Both stories are kind of playing off the whole Sinister Six type of aspect of everything. That seems to be the popular thing to do right now. My speculation is we're going to have more Sinister Six things coming up because it's a very relevant story, and we kind of played Kraven's Last Hunt to death. So I think they're kind of moving over to those kind of like, hey, remember this, kids? The Sinister Six. I think that's what they're doing. All in all, though, that first story, that could be a thing on its own, and people would rush it. Then just the idea that somebody had enough foresight to say, hey, everybody's kind of liking this Disney art, chibi type artwork. Let's kind of create that over here. That's just smart. You see what's popular, and you put your own spin on it. And that kind of happened. And pretty good. All right, moving on. Independence. We got Sam and Twitch. I had to pick this up because I don't know if anybody else remembers Sam and Twitch. I don't know how relevant they were after the first run of Spawn back in the day. But basically what you got here is your stereotypical type detectives, right? One's a strong arm. The other one's a calm, cool, collected, patient one. And of course, in this one, they set that precedence for you in case you don't know who they are as the Spawn universe kind of starts kicking back up more with more characters. It just makes sense to have them back in here. Basically, you find out Sam's kind of the strong arm and Twitch is kind of the weird, goofy one. And they're working a guy over, and it does not go well with the chief as there was a complaint made. So real world problems in comic books, I guess. Right? So they're both suspended, and Twitch is getting a little tired of his friend constantly getting him in trouble. But a case comes afoot as some mutilated bodies are found, and an old friend reaches out to Twitch to kind of help him solve the case. Detective stories. Yeah, it makes sense. It used to be a hot thing back in the day in Golden Era comic books. A lot of them back then. Still very, very valuable comic books that people look after there. But a modern twist on it, add a little grittiness to it, add a little realism to it, and I could see this kind of picking up and being something people would like. I did, at least. At least I did. All right. Continuing. So I did not jump on board when Strays first came out. I was like, oh, stray dogs. But then I started realizing that there was a whole backstory, and it was kind of always in the background about this horrific murderer and all this other stuff going on. And then I was like, oh, I should have picked it up. So I got it late, right? So I was one of the last people to jump on board with that volume. And some good friends of mine out there made sure I still had some really cool covers from it. Nick's Kicks and Comics being one of them, because they love to take horror film movie posters and kind of incorporate it with their covers. So we got Feral issue 1. Obviously, that should be a very familiar movie poster right there from a classic horror movie. And again, if you liked Strays, more than likely you're going to end up liking this. Although they are taking a little bit of a different twist to this. It's cats. Still done in the Disney style. If you remember the Disney cartoon Aristocrats, right? I kept, like, when you read the dialogue, there's a voice in the head. So I kept hearing those characters in there. That's how closely related it is to Disney property. It's actually pretty fun. But in this one, these cats get overturned and, well, first they're captured by pet control or animal control. And apparently the car takes a flip over. We don't know why they were captured. That's the mystery behind the whole thing. But then we kind of start putting the pieces together, right? I love a story that lays out the story for you and allows you, right, the reader, to kind of understand what's going on without a whole lot of explicitive explanation to it. That's why channels like mine exist. But the car flips over, and apparently rabies are a thing. It's running rampant. There's a new strain of it out there. A bunch of animals have it. And And as the cats kind of flee, 3 of them that are kind of from the same household, so they're family, are kind of caught up in a raccoon battle, deer battle, yada yada yada. One slightly gets bit, but he's not telling anybody. Classic zombie story, by the way, right? That's the zombie trope right there, right? Guy got bit, hides it from everybody else, eventually turns into a zombie. It's kind of what they're playing with here. But with this, you're reading it just like Stray Dogs, and you're expecting this colorful, fun, exciting, whimsical, funny story, right? Like a Disney, old school Disney property. And actually, you're just getting a horrific horror tale that can scare anybody. So, yeah. And gore. You're getting a lot of gore in it, too. So, I'm kind of on board with this. I don't know if it's out of regret for not picking up Strays when I had the opportunity versus, I got alarms going off everywhere, versus, actually enjoying the story. I would imagine I am. This is right up my alley. So I'll be picking up some more of this, definitely, as long as my comic book shop has it. All right, next, let's move it on talking about classic goodness from old school with a modern twist to it. We got Pop's Chocolate Shop of Horrors. So this is weird. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I didn't much care for it. It's been hard for Archie stories to really engross me, right? They always kind of come off as a slight ripoff of something else, but just not done very well. And this was one of them. In this one, you're going to get a short tale about Jughead, and it's a crossover between Little Shop of Horrors. We got Pop's Diner. The guy that runs Pop's Diner is kind of working a deal with the devil. And just like any deal with the devil, it never works out. There's always a catch. And we kind of find out from his past a little bit when he first opened up that he was didn't take kindly to people trying to shut down his business, but always gave away a free hamburger. And he wonders why he's running out of business. Yeah, I wish there was a deeper review to all that, but that's all just common tropes in the Archie universe, if you will, in this modern, weird Archie universe. So it kind of missed for me. But I didn't have high expectations for it to begin with. So honestly, it's something you can miss. Nobody's going crazy over this. Last but not least, my pick of the week. You already know what's going to happen. I am not an unbiased person. I do have favorite things out there. And G.I. Joe just happens to be one of them. More especially this Energon universe. Just crazy good. Of course, we're going to be talking about Duke number 4 as it pops off. We get the great escape, right? Duke's been captured, meets with Baroness. They have the whole ethical discussion about why do you trust these people that want to imprison you, the whole 9 yards. The great escape happens. And the last issue, right, Major Blood, classic G.I. Joe character. You'll notice he didn't have his eye patch. He gets popped in the back of the head. But in this issue, he wakes up and we find out why he lost his eye. He got popped in the back of the head, right? So he's still alive and doesn't think he's getting paid enough for this mission. We also got somebody kind of secretly working in the background with Destro as the Mars Corporation. I'm having trouble talking today. Is kind of developing, remember BATS, Battle Android Troopers, the little robot toys? Yeah, they're developing those. They're using Energon in their weapons to kind of keep that connection. They're constantly put in your head that these stories are connected to the Transformers story and the Cobra Commander story, which is smart. Little hints like that, you don't need to over explain every single time. Little hints like that, if you're if you're following this through, it's a great concept. It's a great deal. But it's just nonstop action in here. And you see if you're an older person like me, or maybe you're just a G.I. Joe fan out there, you're going to see all your favorite G.I. Joes from the toy line and from the cartoons. Scrap Iron was in this. Always loved that character with his little, I need to blow things up. Love that. I'm waiting for Beachhead. And, what is it? Beachhead and, the other guy. Firefly. Yeah, I'm waiting for them to show up. Those are my 2 favorite right there. Little good, little evil. Both masked. I can't wait till they show up. But Duke ultimately escapes with Crankcase, Rock and Roll, and Starker all surviving it because it's G.I. Joe, nobody dies. And he kind of flies off, right? Because Duke's a skilled pilot. He flies off, tries to find out more about why his friend died, thinking that the Starscream attack that happened in Transformers was something that Mars made. He doesn't know, right? He's learning. So he kind of breaks into their little place there to try to find out. And that's when he gets caught up with a battle android trooper. I'm telling you, it's just so good. Non-stop action. You read through this, you read through it quick. It's no less than any other comic book out there, but the tempo to this keeps you constantly engaged in this story as it moves through. There's not a whole lot of thought to it. You're just watching good action. And I love it for it. The artwork's outstanding. Great job. That's all I got. Anything else going on? So I was recently on Comic Vikings channel. I made something for Beckerman here in our community at the request of Cali Comics, who, first off, thank you, Cali, for entrusting me with this project. It was a great project to make. It was very fun. And we're going to be posting that video on Friday over at Evil Layer Projects and Builds. It's the Speedball ring. The comic book hero Speedball. I made his ring. It's good stuff. Or I didn't make his ring. He never had a ring. I used the concept of Speedball and made a ring with it. Does that make sense? I did use Speedball, actually. I used his first appearance to make the ring. If that intrigues you, definitely go over to Evil Layer Projects and Builds right here on the old YouTubes, and that video will be popping off Friday. So hope to see you there. Other than that, we got Heroes Con coming up. A little too early to start talking about that. We'll wait a little bit. And let's see. Oh, and I'll be heading off to Denver, Colorado for the Veterans Creative Arts Festival. Apparently I placed there with a Hydra ring that I made. So I'll be going out there for a week here soon. So if you're in the Denver area and you want to link up, have a meal, or maybe even I gotta do some comic book hunting while I'm there. Otherwise, we're not gonna have a review that week. So if you know some good comic book shops there, more in the downtown area, definitely let me know. I could use that information so we can keep this wheel turning over here as well. All right, guys, I got nothing else. I got to get out of here. I'll see you all soon. Bye.